Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Grow Your Path to Wellness. If you missed our episode last week, we hosted the lovely Markera Larking. We talked on the topic women in transitional spaces, and we know that humans, we all go through kind of constantly going through transitional phases and situations of life, but we broke down the unique experience that female identifying individuals navigate. This week, we welcome Eat Smart expert She's the author of Eat Smart and Lose Weight, Scientifically Proven Ways to Lose Weight Without Diets or Exercise. She's also a lifestyle journalist, food writer, restaurant reviewer, cruise ship food lecturer, and a serious foodie herself. Ruth has spent 5.5 years researching the multi-billion-dollar weight loss industry to find easy to implement weight loss tips that don't involve diet or exercise. Thank you so much for being here, Ruth.
Thank you for having me today.
So Ruth, we always ask our guests, why the topic that you're here. I mean, your background tells a lot about your expertise and in that area, but why is this topic one that you're so passionate about today?
Well, as a foodie myself and restaurant reviewer, I'm always getting questions like, how do you eat so much food and you don't gain weight, you don't get fat? And I really had no answers for it, but part of this started when I uh, went back to resurrect an article that I wrote many, many years ago about weight loss, diet strategies that work. My thinking was that I would just update it with some of the latest information and make a small e-report. But once I started researching, there's so much information that's developed over the past years that it just grew and grew and grew and grew. And I was like, okay, this is not just a little e-report any longer. It's a book. So I went from that to that. And then the astonishing thing is that there are so many ways when we think in terms of losing weight. First thing we think of is dieting or exercising. Those are not the only ways, but most people don't realize yet that's the very first thing that comes to mind when we think of losing weight. So there are many, many alternative ways out there, healthy ways, more effective ways, easier ways, more budget friendly ways, actually cost free ways to lose weight that don't even jeopardize our health the way dieting does. And these things are known by the diet industry, but they have no vested interest in publishing this information because these methods don't involve their products and services. I mean, so what's that going to do for them? We know what it'll do for us, but for them, it wouldn't be such a great thing. So my thing is like, I'm all about disseminating information. People should know things that can help them. And all through my writing career, that's kind of been the focus of the things that I write about. In general, as a lifestyle journalist, it was always about what is it that the public is not being told? What's going on behind the scenes? What are the facts that are not being presented? What's the other side of the coin? So that's kind of how all this came about. And as I was researching it, it was interesting to realize that many, many, many of these things I had been automatically doing. They're little lifestyle changes. It's not anything major, anything drastic that one has to do, but it's also not anything drastic that people are doing that necessarily causes them to gain weight. They're little things. So if we can key into these little things, stop doing certain little things, do more of other little things, and look at the end result, we'd be amazed.
I appreciate so much about everything you said about that. It reminds me, the way you talk about the diet industry reminds me of how we often go off on tangents about pharmaceutical companies and like big pharma and medicine. But also one of my favorite quotes and something I try to live by is be a river, not a reservoir of information. So I really appreciate that you have that perspective as well as disseminating all that information. And that kind of flows very nicely into our first kind of bullet here is, what are some of the things that we have been brainwashed to believe about weight loss?
Well, we've been brainwashed that weight loss should be hard, that it should involve counting calories, that it should involve starving yourself, giving up your favorite foods, going hungry, skipping dessert, restricting whole categories of food, working out for hours at the gym. The reality is that weight loss does not have to involve any of those things, none of those things at all. All those negative things that we associate with weight loss, they don't have to be. And you can still lose the weight and keep the weight off. That's the most important part because studies show that 85 to 90% of people who lose weight gain it back again. And that's how the weight loss industry makes money. They sell you a product or a service, you lose the weight, you regain it, and now you've got to lose it again. Of course, that keeps them in business. So, we want to get out of that cycle. We don't want to get caught up in that because all that gaining, losing, regaining, that takes its toll on the body as well. That's not good. According to the CDC, the average person who diets goes on between 55 and 130 diets in their lifetime. 55 to 130 diets in a lifetime. Now, what does that tell us about diets? If the diets work, why would you need to go on so many of them? Why would you have to keep it? They keep thinking, okay, if I could just find the right one. Well, this one didn't work, but maybe this one will. Well, no, that one didn't, but maybe this one will. We need to get out of that whole cycle because the sad part is that people don't even realize that there are alternative ways to lose weight, ways that don't involve any of all those negative things that we talked about earlier. So, and they've been scientifically proven. These are things that have been published in medical journals, academic journals, professional journals, scientific journals. The information is out there, but who's going to dig through dozens and dozens and dozens of journals to find this information? Every now and then you will see some of this information on the internet, articles, magazine articles, newspaper articles, TV shows. They may touch on some of these things, some of the things you may have heard before, but nobody's broadcasting them in a big way. So I've spent time gathering all this information, compiling it, categorizing it, putting it in everyday language, making it easy for people to find and follow. And it's just, some of the things are just so easy that it just completely blows your mind.
Ruth, you said something a minute. So us both, we're coming from mental health, therapist, professional backgrounds. And so like my brain went through this series as you were sharing this information. I immediately, because earlier during your introduction, we were talking about how it's expected, or you assume that it has to be drastic, right? In this big, huge, just flipping your whole entire lifestyle on its head. And that immediately triggered for me that it's not only are those diets not working, but they're a factor in that is it's not sustainable.
Exactly.
And then I went from it's not sustainable to it's keeping those companies in business. And then from a mental health aspect, it impacts the body and that person's self-esteem and their self-worth.
Absolutely.
Like inherently something must be wrong with me because X, Y, and Z diet did not work. And I was like, no, they're made to not be sustainable.
Exactly. I mean, once you go back to eating normally, the weight comes back. And in terms of exercise, I'm not anti-exercise. I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm not anti-exercise. It does have its place. But look at people who exercise on a regular basis. Look at mailmen who walk hours a day. Look at construction workers who lift heavy loads, who do heavy manual labor. They're overweight. How many overweight mailmen, how many overweight construction workers? So we see that there has to be something else that works. There has to be something else. The thing that's different about things in Eat Smart and Lose Weight is that these are just little tidbits, little changes, just little things that you can change and tweak and do that are easy to implement, that don't involve a lot, that you can just, and sustainable for a lifetime. They're little changes that you can make that you can sustain for a lifetime, that they can be done by anybody, anywhere, anytime. They're easily adaptable to any lifestyle whatsoever. Anyone can do them. I mean, a busy mom, a corporate exec, a college student, a teenager, a child, in any setting whatsoever, at home, at work, eating out, eating at a friend's place, anywhere, on a college campus, in an assisted living place for senior citizens. Anybody can do it. Children, parents, adults, there's no one that can't get involved with this. People with medical conditions, there's nothing here that's going to compromise anybody's health in any way. So why aren't people doing it? Because they just don't know. They just don't know that these things are available, that these are little things that can help.
Yeah, Ruth, can we get into, like, I'm so excited for this episode to get out to people, because this is a huge topic that, I mean, in our society and my own practice, I see it so much in these, myths and things. But can we get into and like explain for our community how is it possible to lose weight without diets or exercises?
It involves making little changes in the way you eat, in how you eat, rather than changing what you eat. The changes don't have to be in what you eat. Now, I'm certainly not advocating that people eat pizza and ice cream and cake all day long, but there was a case of a man who went on a Twinkie diet and lost weight. How was he able to do that? Certainly Twinkies, all day long, that's not healthy. But what did he do that caused him to lose weight eating such junk food? Well, he was obviously doing some of these little things. And so that's what we want to talk about. One of my favorite tips, when I talk about what I do, people say, "Oh, really? Give me a tip, give me a tip." And my favorite tip: drink a large glass of water before every meal or snack. And then I get, "Oh yeah, but give me a real tip." That is the most effective weight loss tip ever. There's a weight loss tip in every chapter of Eat Smart and Lose Weight. In the chapter on eating smart, table tactics, kitchen tricks, eating out, there's binge prevention. There is a weight loss, a water tip in almost every chapter, because water is so effective. Now, why is water effective? Well, first of all, water has no calories, 0 calories. So we're not counting calories. But if you were to drink a large, I'll show you how powerful this tip is. If the only thing you were to change about your diet is to drink a large glass of water before every meal or snack, doing absolutely nothing else, by the end of the year, you will have lost anywhere between 15 and 20 pounds. Just doing that, nothing else. Now, there are over 300 and some tips in the book. Many of them just as simple as that. And we'll discuss some of them later. But drinking a glass, who can't drink a glass of water? How easy is it to drink a glass of water? A child can drink a glass of water. A college student, a person at a restaurant, if you're dining out, if you're eating at a friend's house, you can drink a large glass of water. Wherever you happen to be eating, a fast food place, you can drink a glass of water. Who can't drink a glass of water? How simple is that? But it's such a powerful tip, a powerful tip. And yet it's the most neglected weight loss tip of all. Most people don't even consider it a weight loss tip.
It's interesting. I'm racking my brain as you're talking, trying to imagine this playing out in real life. I'm like, all the times that I cut out like soda and only drank water, I definitely was thinner or didn't gain weight at least. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, what if you like, I just really don't enjoy water sometimes, right? Like, I don't know if I could handle drinking water before, like, that much water. It's a lot of water. I wonder what the results would be, even if you just drank like a small glass of water and then my question is, does that have to be like, is that your replacement for another drink, or just that habit by itself and then do whatever drinking,
Just that
eating?
habit by itself. But if we look at it as a replacement for soda, then you're eliminating something like, oh my goodness, I don't know how many sodas you were normally drinking, but look at the calories in a soda. So if you were to replace every soda that you drank with water, flavored water, if you don't like the taste of water, squeeze a little citrus in it, put some little flavor drops in it that you can buy, wherever. Um, Infuse it with fruit, or even veggies, cucumber water. There are things you can do to make the water taste better. And if you're trying to wean yourself away from a lot of sodas, then use carbonated water and infuse it with fruit, or add a splash of fruit juice or something. But water is just so effective. Um, if we talk about in the category of binge prevent, well, let me backtrack also. Many times the body confuses hunger with thirst because both are processed in the same part of the brain. So many times when we think we're hungry, we're not, we're just thirsty. So if you think if you're getting a snack attack, drink a large glass of water first, and then give yourself 5 minutes and see what happens. 5 minutes later, are you still craving that snack? More than likely, you're not. More than likely, you're not. But if you are, then one of the other tips, keep a weight-friendly snack handy. Always keep weight-friendly food handy. We tend to eat what we see. So if you've got junk food and you've got cakes and pies and all those tasty things, ice cream, if that's what you see when you open your refrigerator, that's what you're going to eat. If you open your refrigerator and you see something weight friendly, and notice I say weight friendly, I don't like to say diet friendly, weight friendly. If you see something weight friendly, if you've got some veggie sticks and some dip, or something, a salad prepared or a fruit cup, that's what you'll eat. You will eat what you see. But water is just, I just can't, somebody's water company should hire me as a spokesperson, because I can't stop talking about how much water can help in a weight loss program. It's just absolutely amazing, and it's so underrated. And that's such a sad thing because it's so simple and so easy to do. And what's it costing? It's budget friendly, it's easy. Who can't do it?
Yeah, I would say just being like oppression minded, there are parts of the world where getting clean drinking water
Yes.
might not be the easiest thing. So
Yes.
that would definitely
But
be a
then they
challenge.
aren't trying to go on diets either. So, so
As you were talking, I was like, this is probably something else that I don't know, maybe the diet industry has an influence in refrigerators, because I will do all the prepping. I will clean it all and prep it all and put it in separate containers and have my fruits and veggies ready to go. And then they go in the drawer. And when I open the fridge, for some reason, even though all I have to do is open a drawer, that is like no longer existent to me.
okay.
Or
See
it's that
now,
much more of a challenge, right?
now under the chapter on kitchen tips, the way we set up our kitchens can either sabotage or support our weight loss efforts. Now, in the case of doing the all the wonderful food prep, don't hide it away. You've got to put it where it's visible. It's got to be visible. Um, Another, great kitchen tip is take that cookie jar away and replace it with a fruit bowl. Take that candy dish away and replace it with a dish of nuts. We eat what we see. Take in your cabinets, your kitchen cabinets, all those boxes of cookies or treats or all those tasty, tempting things, turn them around. First of all, people say, "Oh, don't buy them, don't buy them." Well, yeah, that sounds well and good, but sometimes we're in a situation where we have to have certain foods. There may be other members in the family who eat those things. So what do? You have them in your house, but you don't want to, fall prey to overeating on them. So what do? You turn them backwards in the cabinet. Turn the pictures around so you don't see the pictures. Put the nutrition label out. That'll stop you in your tracks or make you think twice. But we reach for things without really thinking about what we're doing, which brings me to another point. We hear the term mindful eating. Well, what's that all about? It's paying attention to what you're eating, paying attention to what you are putting in your mouth. You don't have to count every calorie that goes into your mouth, but just be aware of what you're eating. If you're preparing the family meal, here's another use for your COVID mask. We tend to taste and taste and taste. Of course we want to get the seasonings right, but you can go overboard with that. By the time you finish tasting, you've tasted a whole meal's worth of food. Okay, put your COVID mask on. So that's a reminder. When you start to taste, well, there's that mask. You can't. It makes you aware of, oh, gee, I was about to taste this. Did I really need to taste it again? Probably not. So, but just little things, little simple things, little everyday things. One of the studies found that people who weighed the most had the most food sitting out on their counter. Cereal boxes, boxes of cookies, bags of chips, But on the other hand, people who were slimmer tended to have very little food on their counters. And what food they did have on their kitchen counters was weight-friendly food, fruit, big bowl of fruit or something.
And Ruth, I heard you mention mindful eating, and that it's something that came to my mind, and I don't know if it's something that you see or talk about a lot in your realm of things, but I think I've heard some of it sprinkled throughout our conversation already. But the whole concept of how is what I'm putting in my body making me feel, not just emotionally, but physically, because we are eating what we're seeing, but we always say on this platform, like, we get programmed to be so disconnected from ourselves and just be on to the next task. So I'm going to grab this because I can see it and it's quick. I put it in my body, and if we can reconnect with how these things are making me feel physically, I feel like that can tell us a lot as well.
Mm-hmm. And then you want to ask yourself, why am I eating? Am I hungry? Am I really hungry? Am I eating because I'm stressed? Am I eating because I'm happy? I'm a happy eater. When I get happy, I like to eat. Or am I bored? Am I eating just because I'm bored? The binge prevention chapter. It's one of my favorite chapters. Little things to keep from when we feel those snack attacks coming on. One of the things is do your nails. How many snacks can you eat with wet nails? You're not going to mess up your manicure. Do your nails. Brush your teeth. Nobody wants to taste toothpaste flavored snacks. Nobody wants to drink toothpaste flavored beverages. Go brush your teeth, or a mouthwash, or if you're in a situation where you can't do that, then a very strong breath mint, those Altoids or something similar. That will take the edge off that snack attack that's creeping up. That will short circuit that binge that's on the way. So little things, just little things. Chew some gum. The act of chewing temporarily suppresses the urge to binge on things. The mouth, the brain is an interesting organ, part of the body, whatever, um, we can trick it into getting the results that we want. So if our mouth is chewing, 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 the brain is thinking, oh, eating is taking place. And subconsciously, you're feeling full, which again, going back to that water tip, if we're drinking water before the meal, now our stomach can only hold X amount. So if we're filling part of that capacity with water, now that leaves less food for you to eat. The water's got 0 calories, but now the calories that you do put in, you can only put in so many of them. So you're not sitting there counting, well, this has so many and this has so many, and if I eat that, that takes all the enjoyment out of food. Eating is one of life's pleasures. So you want to enjoy your food without having to worry about your weight. Worrying about your weight is just not a way to enjoy your food. Another thing is slow down. We eat too fast. Speed eating leads to overeating. So we need to slow down. The meal, if you're eating your meal in less than 20 minutes, then you got to rethink what you're doing. You've got to really slow yourself down. You may be in a hurry, but that's not the best thing to do. You drink that large glass of water. Now you eat slowly. Your meal should last at least 20 minutes because that's how long it takes for your brain to get the signal, the fullness signal from your stomach. So if you've eaten 3 plates of food in 20 minutes, you've already overeaten, and your brain, in less than 20 minutes, you've already overeaten and your brain hasn't even gotten the signal yet. Whereas if you had slowed down, slow your pace, enjoy what you're eating, savor each bite, then who knows, when you get that fullness signal, your plate may only be half empty.
I didn't.
So
I
it's
laughed.
just a matter of slowing down.
I was laughing because we just had our first baby and he's 6 months old now. So my last 6 months of my life has been speed eating in between naps and
Oh my
all the
goodness.
things, right? Like that's just like a circumstance at this point, but you were speaking to my soul. I'm like, I'm always speed eating or like grazing something fast or trying to shove something in my face in between things, right? So that's, and I think that just goes to say, like, you might not be able to address every single thing. It might not make sense for your life in the moment, but these things are so simple, like you keep saying, that they can easily be adjusted. Something I always preach in my practice is like habit stacking. So start with one habit, do that for a month maybe until it becomes routine, and then add something on top of that or close to that habit in timeline that makes sense for that habit, right? And then just kind of keep stacking them together. And yeah, I think that's kind of what you're saying too, is like reevaluating your whole life around eating.
Exactly. And you can kind of flip through. It's not the kind of a book where you got to read it from cover to cover before you can do anything. You can start in the middle of your meal, picking one tip and doing it. Oh, well, let me put down my fork after each bite. If you happen to be reading and eating, which I don't advise, we don't want to be distracted, but you can do it. It's just that easy. You can cherry pick. There's no set number of tips that you have to follow. Pick what works for your lifestyle. Some will work better in your lifestyle than others. Some people are not going to get involved with food prepping. It's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Chop little things up and put them in containers. No, that's not for me. Okay, fine. Don't do that. There are other tips that will work for you. Use one of those.
And I think my next bullet point that I was going to ask you was those things that influence like just our eating habits in general, but something else came to us, and that's if you in your work or these things that you are sharing and teaching other people, is there a way that you would go about or recommend going about like ruling out biological or like the influence of trauma, or if somebody's has like a traumatic background, and do you see how that influences their eating habits and ruling those types of things out as far as being an issue with their weight?
Well, it doesn't touch on, I don't touch on any of those things. When I talk about things that influence eating, we're talking about things like the size of the plate, the color of the room, the atmosphere, that type of thing. because no matter what the situation is, and I do acknowledge that there are things in one's background that can affect why a person is eating or what they're eating or they're not eating. We do acknowledge that, but I don't really touch on that. But in terms of for example, there was one study that was done where half the participants were put in a brightly lit room with loud blare, a fast food type of situation. Bright colors, reds, oranges, yellows, bright colors, loud, very energetic music. They ate fast, they consumed more, whereas the people in the second group were put in a room where there was soft jazz playing in the background, dim lighting, everything was just peaceful and serene. They ate less. I think it was something like 66% less than the participants, even though they were eating the same food. They ate less than those in the loud, brightly lit room. Not only did they eat less, but they were less those in the quiet, at the fine dining atmosphere, let's call it. Those people, those study participants, were less likely to go back for seconds. And when they did go back for seconds, they consumed 14% fewer calories. So the atmosphere, blue is a color that suppresses appetite. So, buy some blue plates, put your food, we're talking low cost, but, even if they're paper plates, or blue napkin or whatever, blue placement. Blue suppresses the appetite, whereas bright colors like red, yellow, orange, the colors that you typically see in fast food places, you see those colors in there for a reason. They want you eating fast, eating a lot, and then they want you to and eat, they want eat it quickly, eat a lot of it, and move on so the next one can come in. so
I'm having these like revelations as you're talking, Ruth. I'm like thinking about all these times where I've been like, I'm done. And like my mom or like my husband's been like, you barely ate anything. And I'm thinking about the environment I was in when I was eating that plate, and it was like relaxed, it was family, we were talking and getting to know each other, not like, so that's kind of distracted, but it was definitely calmer, more relaxed, more comfortable, safe for me, right? As opposed to being driving in the car, going through a drive-through and knowing that my food's going to be getting cold, and fast food just doesn't taste good cold, right? So you're always rushing to eat it to get to the next destination. Yeah, thank you so much for that. That's such a good mindfulness tip, to just stop and think, what does that look like when you do eat in different environments?
And then the size of the plate that you eat on. Dinner plates have gotten larger over the years. Now, if you were to take an amount of food, the same amount of food, and put it on a 14-inch dinner plate, or even a 12-inch dinner plate, there's that food sitting in the middle of that plate. That food looks inadequate. It looks insufficient. Already your mind is thinking, that's not enough food. I'm going to need more. I'm going to need seconds. Take that same amount of food and put it on a salad plate or a dessert plate. Now you've got a full plate. The mind is programmed to eat a full plate of food. It doesn't matter what size that plate is. Your mind is thinking, I ate a full plate of food. I'm full. We're full. We're satisfied. We don't need any more. So the size of your plate is very, very important in terms of weight loss. If you're trying to lose weight, just use smaller plates. That's all. It's automatic. We talk about portion control. There's your automatic portion control. There's only so much you can put in a plate. If you've got a plate and food is layered one on top of the other, you've got too much food. It shouldn't be on top of each other, but your food in one layer on a single plate, that's it. If it's a small plate, fine. If it's a larger plate, you're going to eat more. Automatically, you can only eat so much because the plate only holds so much. Another way to kind of psych yourself into eating less food is to cut your food into small pieces, lots of small pieces. Like, oh, that's childish. Okay, but and Amanda, you will get to that stage where you're cutting things in little bitty pieces. Well, okay, but that's good for us too if we're trying to lose weight. Cut your before you start eating. Before, we cut it as you go, but no, cut up your food in lots of small pieces and then start eating. Somehow your brain thinks, oh, this is a lot of food. Here's lots of pieces here. There's a lot of food here. And so that's how your brain processes it. And all this has been scientifically proven. And I just think I'm so fascinated with this. I can get so caught up in the research. My father was a science professor, but he always taught my sister and I to research, always research, multiple sources. Don't just take one source. You need multiple sources. And I'm just amazed at all of the studies that come to these same conclusions. But where is this information? The weight loss industry is not pushing it out there because not one thing that we've discussed so far has involved a weight loss product or service.
No money to be made.
I can't get over, this might sound like a duh thing, but my brain just like wants to say it out loud before we start wrapping up. But I can't get over just how much, like, and the visual component, like how visual our brains are. Like outside of the water tip, I feel like all of these amazing things that you've shared with us is so much about the I'm eating what I'm seeing, or I'm eating based on what I'm perceiving in front of me, whether it's the plate size or the number of pieces of food on my plate. Like the visual component is so huge when it comes to weight loss.
Yeah.
And eating in general.
Yeah.
When you mentioned that cutting up into small pieces, Ruth, I'm like, yeah, you're so right. My brain will automatically be like, oh, wow. It just keeps growing. There's like it magically grows as you cut it or something. It's so silly. Oh, these are so good. I wish now I need to get your book because
well, it's not out yet. It will be, and you know what? People keep saying, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? And I'm saying soon. But then I keep saying, but wait. These are new tips that need to go in it. No. I gotta wait. There's more coming. I gotta add this. No, not yet. Hold it. Gotta add this, gotta add that. And so finally one person said to me, look, you can always do a second edition. Version 1 is better than version none. so I'm just gonna have to push it out there and just do a follow-up. But there's just so much information that's constantly out there because it's a popular topic. There's an obesity crisis, which again tells us that what the weight loss industry is doing or promoting is not really working. So there's just so much research that goes on and on and on, and just little things, just such little things that are so mind-blowing that I just can't get enough. To slow ourselves down, we can do things like eating with our non-dominant hand. That's going to automatically slow you down. The clumsiness of it's going to automatically slow you down. If you're not proficient with chopsticks, use chopsticks. While you're fumbling around, you're slowing your eating pace, and you're not eating as much. So sipping water between your meals, your bites as you're eating, putting your fork down. Don't just hold it at the ready. We tend to eat and then the next fork is already loaded and ready to go when we swallow the first bite. So we're shoving it in and in and in. With the snacks, don't just eat your snacks straight from the bag. We're not saying don't eat snacks. Snacks are important. You need snacks. But don't eat them straight from the bag or the box because you lose track. How many times have you been in front of the TV and you're eating something and all of a sudden you reach in for another handful and the bag's empty? Like, wait, what happened to it? Well, you ate it, but you didn't know because you weren't aware. You were just eating it on automatic program. But pay attention to what you're eating, eat it slowly. Believe it or not, people look at me and think, oh, this woman's weird. If you're eating a bag of potato chips, each potato chip has its own flavor. If you're eating a bowl of grape, each grape has its own flavor. If you're eating a handful of M&Ms, really, each M&M has its own flavor. But if you cram them all into your mouth, you won't know that, but you eat them one by one by one. You'll appreciate it more. If you appreciate it more, you'll eat less of it. You'll enjoy it more. So take your time. And before you know it, 20 minutes will have passed, and 2/3 of that bag will still be left, but you're satisfied. You're not left feeling hungry.
So many beautiful tips. We could go out. We could make a series out of your tips. Thank you so much for being here, Ruth. We really appreciate your time and your expertise. I know that you let us know about a freebie for our listeners. There's a tip sheet, right, for some kind of like a condensed version of your book.
I rotate them periodically. I think the one that's up now is 8 ways to psych yourself into eating less, or 8 ways to trick your brain into eating something along those lines.
8 ways to trick yourself into eating less food. Yep.
Okay.
That's the one that's up there now. So you can go to eatsmartloseweightbook.com, and we'll put that in the show notes too for everyone listening to get that tip sheet from Ruth.
And there's a newsletter. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a weekly. It's supposed to be weekly. I'm so busy juggling other things. It hasn't been weekly as of late. But just 1 tip per week. Simple, and maybe a little more explanation than it is in the book. Although in the book there will be little boxes called food facts that talk about some of the studies. Some people want to know the background. Others aren't interested. Just tell me what works and let me do it. I don't care how you arrived at this information. Others want to know, well, where did this come from? Why does it work?
Yeah. Where's your reference page? Give me the citation.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So sign up for the newsletter as well. I'm hearing, so you can get those tips in more detail every week. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ruth, for being here. Again, we really appreciate you, and we're looking forward to whenever your book is released, but I'm assuming if you sign up for the newsletter, you will get notification of that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. So next week, we are finally bringing back Heidi Groos. She came originally in October, and we've been trying to reschedule her second Stepping into Fear to feel the magic of personal transformation. And so many time conflicts just kept getting in the way. So we're finally having her back next week, and we look forward to that. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you subscribe and comment and turn your notifications on so you know when the latest episode is up. Take care and have a great week.
Everyone, bye.